All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special episode of Wrestling Wrealm Now. We got the whole Super Click in the building as we get ready because there's been some releases going on in the WWE. So let's get right into it.
Houston, we have a problem.
All right, so I guess I got both.
Houston, we have a problem.
What to do? All right, so anyway, I guess we just don't have no intro tonight. What's going on, fellas? As y'all know, I got the real Dwayne Allen, co-host of Wrestling Wrealm Now. 10 years in the game. You can't hear me. Oh, you muted.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
He's talking, but he's muted.
Unmute yourself, Dwayne.
Bro,
the intro is playing, that's why.
All right, so my bad. So, yeah.
Is it me? I don't know what literally watch the intro.
You must be watching it because it wasn't playing on my end.
I think that's why I was muted. Can you see me? Don't worry about it. Keep going.
No, he's still playing the intro.
Oh, see, okay, so they just me then.
Okay, now
There we go.
Now we're back. Okay.
Yeah, we're back.
So
I had to see that intro
played for you, and just can't hear the sound. It's all good though.
Now you're muted.
Brian, you muted.
Now you're muted, Brian. Got to unmute yourself. There you
All
go.
right, tonight it's a super show. The devil is busy as I get ready to bring in my 35th.
Yes, Vince McMahon is.
And shut up. And what better way to do it? We got the Flex Zone, 3 members of the Flex Zone, 3 of 5. We got 2, my right on the screen, but to my right there, we got the one and only Die Sport in that D. We got Uncle Raj, and he's labeled as WWE has legit competition, but he's the one and only Byron K. Dixon. What's going on, everybody?
What's going on, Waters? What's going on, Dwayne? What's going on, D? What's going on, Byron?
Gentlemen, we've got things to discuss.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
It's an honor to be on with you guys. Once again, congratulations to 10 years. And Brian, much like Miro, God's favorite champion, I'm God's favorite host. Remember that.
Well, see, you talk about the miracle, but it's a reason why things didn't work out the way it was when he was up where the real big boys play. But we'll get into that since WWE has legit competition, even though a show can't get off YouTube. But a few releases is happening. Shout out to Vince McMahon. He said that he could win some competition, and it looks like he's doing that. WWE trimming some people down, and it's like, woo! But the only one I'm really confused about is Bronson Reed, to be honest with y'all. Yeah. Everybody else is now. I am a little disappointed because I will not get my favorite match. I mean, my dream match that was Mercedes Martinez versus Charlotte Flair. But at the same time, you kind of saw the writing on the wall after she left to go back down NXT. And Dwayne, your thoughts, brother, because I know you've been feeling froggy. It's been a good week. We was on vacation, so I know you got a lot to say.
I'm not here to talk about that. You know what I'm here to talk about.
Yo, you
Hoodie Allen, Hoodie Dwayne wants to talk about.
Dwayne want to get right to it, Brian.
I'm not here for the casualties. I'm not here for the releases. You guys know what I'm here to talk about.
I know what you're here to talk about. So let's just get to it.
So, a couple years, about not years ago, several weeks ago, we did a show, and we said that is AEW copy or competition? And we kept telling y'all, we tried to let y'all know when we be in the show of Superior Wrestling Intellect, they ain't ready to compete. I'm wondering, what's the one thing? What's going to compete with WrestleMania? Somebody help me understand.
Here's exactly why WWE AEW will never be competition to WWE. We're not talking about this from my perspective. This is where the everything goes wrong, right? We're talking about this as fans. This is a fan conversation. It doesn't make it any more real or fake because we're having this conversation, right? You have to is AEW competition to Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And he made it very clear that no, it's not, because you have to think about what does he consider competition. He considers competition a company that is fighting for the product that he's putting out, the audience that he's trying to capture, the money he's trying to make. And until any company does that, he's not going to consider any other professional wrestling organization competition until that happens. He'd have been through the worst of it. He was almost put out of business. Like, there were jobs on the line. There were lives on the line. Like, that was a real war. That's the only thing he's going to find in competition. And AEW is light years away from even scratching that surface. So, of course, Mr. McMahon's going to say, I don't really consider them competition. It's just the wrestling business. That's what it's supposed to be. It's bound to happen. I've been here before. That's why he has no problem cutting all these people, because he knows they have a place to go. And at the end of the day, he don't have to pay for those guys to get over. So when they get to a certain point where they're really worth any money, he's going to make a pitch, and nobody has ever turned down a Mr. McMahon pitch. Everybody tell you that man can sell ice to an Eskimo. You'll be ready to quit, ready to go and do your own thing. But as soon as McMahon has that meet with you, he convinces a lot of people to see things his way. And if he doesn't, you look at FTR. He apologized. I apologize for the system failing you. Everybody thinks he's just this maniacal devil. Like, we don't know that. But then you hear all these reports from the people that he released said, no, Vince was never the issue. Vince wasn't a problem. It was the system that the people who reported to Vince, they weren't on the same page with him because he's such higher up. And it's the problem is so many people you got to get to by the time you get down to the individual superstar. And that's the issue. And that talent has gone to AEW and done nothing of such to really make anything different for that company to the point where they're making that much more money. They're successful, absolutely. It's a great product. Sure it is. I'm not denying that one bit. But we're talking about competition to Vince McMahon. Until they start threatening the food that goes on his table, there won't be competition.
God damn, pal.
At least not the Vince. I mean, to us as fans, of course, we're going to call it that because we're fans. But that, like, WCW almost put him out of business. Like, he was fighting for that same audience. There was one audience at the time. It was way like, see, nowadays it's put into so many different artists, so many different products, so many different niches, so many different groups, sections. Nowadays it's different. But back then it was one wrestling audience. And you jump from one show to the other. That's competition. When you can pull one audience away from one product and literally have them go to the next, and y'all are fighting over a ratings battle, we talking about millions of dollars. Come on, man. That man's not going to find nothing considering competition until any other company in the world does that. And they're too far ahead. It's like Nike. Who's going to compete with Nike at this point? You're going to have a good year. You're going to have good moments. You're going to have your hits. But it doesn't mean legit competition. You're not even in the same market at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, AEW is professional wrestling. No, AEW is sports entertainment that's disguising themselves as professional wrestling. So you're in the professional wrestling market, which is not going to make you any money. But then you have this sports entertainment product, and you have no crossover appeal. The one time AEW tried to cross over, it was a disaster because Chris Jericho got roasted on Twitter by NBA Twitter. And at the end of the day, I haven't seen much of a difference since. Somebody please talk some sense to the situation. Help me understand.
Oh, Dwayne.
I'm listening.
Look,
make it make sense.
Look, I told you in the group chat that the WWE is the Madden of wrestling, okay? Yes, they're on top. Yes, they've been on top for the last 100 plus years, probably more than that. But check this out, man.
Sure, I'm listening.
AEW is coming, my good brother. AEW is still on the rise. No, it's not really a competition just yet. I'm going to admit that. It's not a competition just yet.
Breaking news, everybody. I knew this is why I like him on the show.
I'm not done.
Go ahead.
But bro, check this out, man. They're doing everything that the WWE is not doing right now. And that's actually pushing their wrestlers. I've been telling you for weeks, man. Where is the new talent that's coming out of WWE? They keep going with old superstars. Guys like John Cena, guys like Bill Goldberg, guys like The Rock. They just keep hammering them. Hulk Hogan comes back from time to time. Undertaker. I mean, come on now. I mean, when are they going to start fleshing out new superstars? Now, I'll give AEW that. They actually are starting to bring in some of these guys that the WWE are releasing. You know, guys like Daniel Bryan's coming. CM Punk is coming. And they got Miro. I mean, they got a bunch of guys that wasn't able to get, you know, some of their stuff off in the WWE. And that's fine and dandy. But AEW is actually giving these guys a shot to take it, unlike WWE. I don't know what Vince is doing. I told y'all I don't get where his headspace is at.
No, me neither.
But he needs to get it together, man, because I don't like how this is going for him.
No.
So either he figures it out and starts, actually pushing some of the younger talent, or AEW will be number one in about a couple years. You can say all that stuff about WrestleMania. You can say all that stuff about any other pay-per-view that was great. That was yesteryear, man. Right now, AEW is on the rise, and they're on the rise fast. And although it's only been about 2 years now, a lot of it's been in the COVID era.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not forget that the COVID era, everything was shut down for the WWE and AEW, but AEW has still managed to survive and thrive during the COVID era. So I mean, what are we saying here, man?
Let me ask you one question. You made a lot of valid points, and I don't disagree with you. Listen, WWE is definitely playing the hits right now, right? But the difference I saw mainly with the WWE back in the 90s, when they pushed out Macho, they pushed out Flair, they pushed out Hogan, all guys that end up having second runs in WCW to make room for new stars, right? Yes. During a down period of professional wrestling, the new era. So let's talk about the Clique: Diesel, Shawn Michaels,
right,
Razor Ramon, X-Pac if you want to include them, and then let's say Bret Hart and maybe Lex Luger, that group. That was and the Undertaker. Those were the guys that they said we got to make room for these guys. They were pushing those group of guys, and the wrestling business was down. It wasn't doing well. Those guys weren't bringing in big money. You know what I mean? Like Shawn Michaels wasn't drawing that kind of money. Like Bret Hart was not drawing that kind of money. Neither was Diesel or any of those guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, where is that group in AEW that's going to be the game changers? And when I say game, I'm not talking about just because fans. I'm talking about the money makers, the ones that you're going to see on the ravioli commercials, the ones you're going to see on MTV or ESPN, those crossover guys that's going to take their business to the next level. Because right now, I'm looking at maybe like 2, maybe homegrown guys. You know what I mean? I'm looking at maybe a Darby Allin, MJF. But see, MJF, sure, I'll give you MJF. MJF has a problem to me because MJF is he's little and he can't wrestle, so he has a good mouth. Like dude can run his mouth, like that's what he does well. But he writes checks his butt can't cash. Because when you see what he does in the ring, it's like, okay, I look, he's got a lot of EC3 in him. Man, you can carry a promo, but the minute you get in that ring, it's like, oh man,
I wouldn't go that far to win.
Really?
I'm not saying he's that bad. I'm not saying he's that bad. Trust me, EC3 is terrible.
Very disrespectful.
But I'm saying he gives a lot of that vibe. Like, bro, like the most I remember about you is what you said before and after the match. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Turn on his match with Jungle Boy. Turn on his first match with Jericho. The boy can go. I don't know
that doesn't mean anything. Byron, that doesn't mean nothing to us wrestling fans. That doesn't mean anything to us. That does not mean anything to us. We're the minority in this group. We're the minority. Like y'all keep thinking like it's about us.
On a goofy cereal box. When AEW has crossovers with Street Fighter, they have crossovers with Street Fighters. They have a lot of gaming conventions. They have things that us real people care about, not these stupid little kids who in 10 years want to be watching wrestling.
Nobody. That's a wrestling fan conversation, Byron. We talking crossover. That's nice for the future. That hasn't made AEW competition.
Okay.
Crossover.
Okay. You said how many wrestlers you said? How many wrestlers you asked me? Was it 3 or 4?
Said, like it does. I'm right now. I've only seen maybe 2. Like where's that group that's going to be the game changers for AEW? Like the click changed the business eventually. So like they weren't it in the 90s, like during the new generation, but that's where it got started. Eventually, what you get from DX and NWO, we're still talking about that 25 years later.
Because it was monumental at the time. I mean, WWE had like everything. They had Shawn Michaels, who was great. They had Triple H, who was great. I mean, they had everything. They had the straight formula that made everything go, and they wasn't afraid to try new things or push the edge. And that's what's missing in WWE now. But
AEW, who's that for AEW?
I'll give you some guys. I'll give you some guys that I think that are gonna be great in AEW.
Talk to your boy, because I see maybe 2.
I think MJF is definitely one. I think MJF has everything. I think he can wrestle.
And we talk about
maybe he hasn't had the perfect match, but I think he's a lot better than EC3. I don't.
Oh no! Trust me, I'm not.
I don't get the EC3.
EC3 is terrible.
But yeah, EC3 is bad. But also, I think Darby Allin is another guy.
That's true.
I know you don't probably see it in him.
I'm not a big fan of him, but
things in him.
He has a huge fan base. I'm seeing his popularity. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to be a fan of
He
him.
has an it factor, no doubt.
You know what I mean?
I definitely think he has the it factor, and when Sting pushing him or helping pushing him, he's getting a lot further along.
Okay.
Orange Cassidy is another guy that people need to look out for. You
Hell no.
People love Orange Cassidy, man.
He's hilarious.
That's a gimmick. Yeah.
He has a cult following. Seriously. Y'all laughing. I'm dead serious.
No, you're right. He does have a cult following. Go ahead.
Yeah, but never should fight full time.
And I know Brian don't like this, but Jungle Boy. Has it as well. Jungle Boy
See, I was
he
with
can't
you
cut a
until you said
promo.
Jungle Boy.
He can't cut a promo, man. He can't cut a promo.
He has a lot. He has a lot to offer, man.
He even said he
that
can't
one
do
had a
it.
lot to offer.
That's serious.
And these are the guys that's going to carry AEW to the next level in the future.
They're carrying it right now.
Why
Okay.
don't they have over 2 million, 3 million viewers yet?
They will be. Trust me, they will be.
We keep. I mean, I understand like wrestling ain't
Working with guys like Daniel Bryan, working with guys like CM Punk, working with the Big Show.
So
with
you
Mark
work
Henry.
depending on Vince's guys.
Yes, Vince's
Hey,
guys.
taking that
He
WCW
pushed
thing,
to the
man.
side because he don't want them anymore. Because he don't know what to do with them.
He's done
He's
it
doing the same
before.
thing WCW did.
Vince
Can
has
I say
done it
something to
before.
Dwayne's point? Can I say something to Dwayne's point real quick?
Sure,
He
go
said
ahead.
that Vince goes and apologizes to people that he failed them.
No, I
used
did not
them
say
wrong.
that. That was not my point. That's not what I said. You gotta listen carefully.
You said that though.
No. I said to FTR. They specifically
just to them specifically.
that was the example I used. I
Okay.
said because people said that.
them in goofy costumes is gonna make them a comedy gimmick, right? That's the same thing, right? You're talking about it, right?
No,
That's the same
that's
Vince who was
not
gonna
Vince
do that,
McMahon.
right?
That was not a Vince McMahon idea.
But
No.
Vince McMahon had a final say on everything.
No,
Right?
that was not a Vince McMahon idea.
Y'all boys,
That was
y'all,
not a
y'all,
Vince
y'all
McMahon
I love
idea.
you, right?
Okay.
It was not a Vince McMahon idea. Like I don't.
Hence why
What
I
did he say?
because I think that when things go wrong at AEW, they actually fix it. Vince will act like it don't exist.
And keep saying, "Oh, I failed this person, I failed that person." If you really didn't want to fail them, why didn't you shouldn't have booked them right when you had the chance right there?
Because Vince McMahon doesn't book the talent.
Okay.
Like Bruce,
He doesn't. Okay.
he doesn't. Bruce Pritchard does.
So Dwayne, you putting all this on Bruce Pritchard.
You said
this
what?
is all his fault.
No. What I'm telling you is, this is what Byron. You got to listen to what I'm saying. You're not listening. You just arguing. The system put in place for people to be successful. Vince McMahon doesn't directly have his hands on every piece of it, right? But the problem is he has too many people in place that one don't know what they're doing when it comes to talent, and he's going to go with the people he put in place because he put them there. So by the time it's a problem, the talent comes to Vince McMahon and says, this is an issue. And Vince is like, why didn't you come to the meetings before? And they're like, yo, because you have all these people who are not necessarily in everybody's corner. They have their favorites. So by the time it gets to you, we're already fed up and done. And that's why he apologized to FTR. That's why FTR, I respected them so much, because when they got to AEW, they refused to badge Vince McMahon. They're like, yo, he's not the problem. They said it's not about it's not sour grapes. We want to be the best tag team in the world, and we can't do that because the way the stuff is set up, if you have an idea or you have creative or you don't like something, it's got to go through 10 different people, because that's just Vince McMahon's system. It's flawed. It doesn't work.
And that's his problem.
Listen, I agree with you. That's exactly the problem is. But at the same time, you can't sit there and say, oh, Vince McMahon came up with the gimmick. It was his idea. It's like, come on, man. Let's be real. That's not how no business works.
McMahon, the same man who walked in 5 minutes before the show and ripped
Up the script. Isn't he the same guy 5 minutes before the show changes the end to matches that makes no type of sense? Like the whole
You
thing.
believe in everything you read on the dirt sheets, though?
He really does. He has to. Because firsthand accounts
a lot of
tell you
it
otherwise.
comes true.
The first,
Not everything. Not everything.
Not everything, but a lot of it does.
Firsthand accounts tell you otherwise. That's what I'm trying to say. The people that work in the business tell you otherwise. Like you can listen to dirt sheets all you want, but if Bruce Pritchard will come and tell you that wasn't a Vince McMahon idea, I'm telling you where that came from. Sure, you can blame Vince McMahon because he's in charge of it. Of course he is. He's the CEO, and yes, and I don't deny that stuff one bit. But you're not gonna sit there and say that, oh, it's solely his fault, because if the talent that's being released is telling you, no, Vince is not the problem, why are we sitting here as fans looking dumb saying it's Vince McMahon's fault? And the talent that got released,
because
like, no,
a lot of the talent does say it's his fault.
What talent got released and said Vince McMahon held me back? Seriously.
One being Moxley, when he had that nice hour-long interview with Jericho.
You know why? Because
Jack Daniels monster.
Moxley didn't fit into what WWE was trying to do with him. That's understandable. He did the right thing. He left.
And most recently, Peyton Royce.
She spilled the beans. See, do you remember? Everybody blames Vince McMahon. They go Vince McMahon again. He broke up the Iconics. She came out and told the truth. You know what? That was my idea. Now everybody's backtracking. Like
exactly. But she was also encouraged by Vince McMahon. Like, you could be great as a singles competitor.
Of course he is. You know why? Because did you hear Eric Bischoff said about tag teams? Once again, I'm talking about an industry person. He said
they don't draw money.
And that's a business thing. See, we always want to talk about the creative of it because we fans. That's why people make fun of us, because we talk about the creative aspect. Like, bro, it's still a business. He said, let me tell you about tag team wrestling. He said, tag team wrestling will never be as popular as it was when the fans did to get over. He said, because financially, it doesn't make sense anymore. It made sense in the 80s because that was the product what you were watching. People still cared about the wrestling. It's 2021. That's why FTR is not talking about being the great tag team division anymore. You know what they're doing? They're part of the Pinnacle. That's a storyline because they're much more important involved in sports entertainment than let's have a tournament to see who's the best tag team in the world. That's not good. The people going to change the channel. That's just how it works. Like I said, my argument ain't about my opinion or somebody else's. We ain't here to do that because we look, like I said, that's why we look stupid as wrestling fans, right? Because everybody likes what they like. You know what I mean? I don't have to like something to say like AEW is great in its own mind, right? Because
in its own mind.
like think about it. Like it does what it does well. My only issue with AEW has always been they came out running their mouths talking about how they was going to be this and that. I'm like, bro, I'm not seeing the promises that y'all made about what y'all doing.
And then, you know what? I told you before, and I'm gonna stick to it. I do not like when they do that. I don't like when they, go on a tangent. When Tony Khan goes on Twitter and starts running his mouth, I completely do not like that.
But you notice who only does that though? It's only Tony Khan and the Young Bucks. Cody doesn't do it.
Nope.
Jericho doesn't do it.
Of course not.
I'm like, bro, like you listening to it, like, yeah, because we're going. I'm like, bro, like y'all don't got to do that. Y'all got to focus. And Jericho, when they asked Jericho recently, they said, Jericho, what do you think about Vince McMahon's comment? And like I said, Jericho's not dumb because he talks to Vince McMahon on the regular basis. He showed McMahon his AEW contract. So what does it make for us to be like, oh, Jericho hates that? Like, no, he does not. It's a business.
He can never hate them because he's going to be put in the Hall of Fame one day.
Bro, he literally said to them, look, of course he's going to say that. Why would he not? Why would he say that otherwise? Like, that's his job to do that at the end of the day. Because once he made it very clear that, we can give them some of our talent, it's killing the momentum of let's compete with WWE. Like, bro, you got no momentum if the people from WWE that left there like, we don't got to do that. We just want to get paid and do our own thing. That's the whole point of AEW. Correct. That's what makes it counterculture. But they don't want to be seen as counterculture. They want to be seen as the main product. And that's where they're struggling because they're trying to find a way to compete and making fun of them and trolling them on TV with the gimmicks. That's not working anymore because, first of all, if it's not better than WCW, they cater to our audience, supposedly. If you can't do better than we had when we was kids, it ain't going to work. So now you got to put on the show.
That's a hard thing to do.
It is. So I'm just like, bro,
that's in the society we live in 2021.
To me, I'm just like, like for instance, Cody Rhodes. Everybody know Cody Rhodes really went at Triple H that first statement. That sledgehammer to that throne, I said, bro, you want to talk about AEW? That is the defining moment of it, right? And then he comes out the other day and goes, oh, no, I ain't gonna lie to you. He's really a mentor to me. Like, I strive to be just like him. Like, he shows me that. I'm like, bro, you killing Tony Khan right now. Because to me, it seems like, now correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like half the internal group of AEW wants to focus on AEW stuff, which they should. Make your product the best. And then you still got Tony Khan that wants to be respected in the same conversation with WWE. But my thing is, bro, you're not there yet.
He's not there. He's not there because he keeps talking. But I think business-wise, he's getting in there. He's getting
okay.
They got a good business model, no doubt.
Go ahead, D. What you gotta say, man?
Yeah.
You gotta say anything yet?
I mean, they business-wise, they're doing well on the live shows. Mm-hmm. They're doing good, but I'm telling you, what they've done with Hangman, he's been waiting for 2 years. If you want to go out there and be different, push your own talent, man. Don't bring Christian in, have him floundering now. Oh, we're gonna put him in the title picture now. The E does the same stuff when they bring their legends back. We cannot let AEW get a pass on that.
So do you help me understand, D? Here's my biggest issue, because you got a guy like Hangman Page. Remember when they first announced AEW, right? He was at the forefront. Mm-hmm. Like they were teasing him and Bastard Pac to be like in that early title picture, because Pac was still I think he was still in Dragon Gate USA. Like he was still making his
Yeah, he
run
was.
before they made. So
He
right,
started off with WWE release too. Or
how many times has he been passed over for this AEW championship since the beginning? And now once again, he's in the mix. He's with the Dark Order. Not really understand what that's about. And then all of a sudden, now he's bumped because because his record says the rankings say because he's 5-0 since he's been AEW, he's the #1 contender now. And I'm like, if you ask me, somebody sat there and told him, you know what draws a bigger match than Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, Christian Cage and Kenny Omega, and just that quickly in the main event, it got switched. And this is some same old WWE stuff. I don't know what it is. Help me understand.
It's a bad. I call AEW right now their interpretation of the evening. And I'm not saying it's the greatest. It's not, but because we know, look, y'all know how I feel about NyQuil. We don't call that all word.
Yeah.
So they're bad. AEW does the same thing at the moment. The last 3 weeks, they put me to sleep.
Let me ask you
this. SmackDown was great tonight. Don't put me to sleep at all.
We talk about Hangman Page, right? So let's just say the sheets are right, and we got Daniel Bryan and CM Punk coming in. Is this a smart move to push Hangman out the way? Because if he wins the title, he'll basically get Alberto Del Rio when Punk went off the way after the pipe bomb, but then Del Rio was in the mix, but everybody was more concerned about Triple H, CM Punk, John Cena. Would Hangman Page be in that same situation if Daniel Bryan and CM Punk arrive at AEW? So is this a smart move by them, or is it just Hangman ain't ready and he ain't the guy?
I just think that
I don't think it's a smart move.
I think Story's still being rich. I think the end game is still Hangman will be an AEW champion.
You sound muffled, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it still muffled?
Not
we
now.
hear you now.
You guys.
Is it still muffled?
No, we hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
I still think the end game is Hangman is your champion. But like I said, I've been hearing rumblings he has a kid due around the time of All Out. I do think that Christian is not beating Kenny Omega. We know that. Kenny Omega is losing that belt to Hangman Page. Unfortunately, we were a microwave society. We want Hangman to have the belt today. But they're telling a good story. They're building him up. If you notice, they're breaking him away from the Dark Order a little bit. They let him do his own thing. It's all going to come full circle. Now, I do think when Daniel Bryan and CM Punk come, because it's looking like CM Punk and Darby Allin may have some type of interactions, I don't want CM Punk and Daniel Bryan to bury talent. Daniel Bryan didn't bury talent in WWE. He became the person putting everybody over. So I think he'll be fine. But I think CM Punk, who I've heard controls his booking, I just hope they don't rush him, putting him in the title picture. Say that for next year. Let him build to it. Use his promo ability. Use his ability to connect with the fans. Go off script and have interactions with people and put other young stars over, much like Sting has done help with Darby, and let him slowly build towards him debuting. We don't need CM Punk to wrestle. We just need his face, like we saw on WWE Backstage. He made the show watchable. He'll make any show watchable. So he doesn't have to really wrestle off the gate, I think.
You know what's interesting about this whole concept about Hangman Page? Roger, you didn't mention him in your group of 5 guys that was supposed to take this company to the next level. I'm interested to figure out what. I'm going to give you my perspective. I want you to give me your perspective. Why didn't you say that? Because to me, I'm not saying that you don't see it that way, but the fact that he didn't come out first, kind of to me shows me where the impression that he's leaving on you right now. I could be wrong. Please explain. Let me tell you. I remember Hangman Page in Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about. I remember when he was freaking. What's his name? BJ Whitmer's young boy.
Yeah.
Like y'all remember, like we was, that was our era, I remember he was his young boy, and I was like, man, if he ever develops a personality, he's gonna be a problem. And then of course he had his run with the Elite and Ring of Honor, and then he had a small stint with the whole Japan and Ring of Honor partnership. And then when he got to AEW, a lot of people felt like, he might be the breakout star. Once he develops and gets that personality, man, he might be the one that kind of turns the corner, and he's gonna be one of the cornerstones or the young talent that kind of represents what AEW is about, pushing the young talent early. Why didn't you mention him in your group of guys that you felt like will be the future cornerstones of AEW?
I'm not gonna lie, man. Hangman Page can wrestle his ass off.
Yes, he can.
I think he's a great professional wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they have him booked,
it's yo-yoing, isn't it? It's yo-yo. Is it me?
To me, I don't really like the way he's booked. That's his biggest problem. I thought it was cool when he was in a tag team with
Omega.
With Omega, but
Olivier.
be respectful. Kenny Omega. I thought it was cool when he was in a tag team with Kenny Omega, but after that, the whole beer thing and the Dark Order stuff it just. I'll give you that. It's goofy. That part of it is definitely goofy, but hopefully. If he does get the belt, he turns it around. He gets some momentum. He looks like a main event player. He looks like the guy. But as far as his chasing and everything else with the beer and silliness with his image and his gimmick, I can't put him in my top 4. I just can't. I can't. I'm sorry.
To me, that's respectful.
No, it's the truth though. It's fun to get Roger on camera because that's when he decides to tell the truth about things.
I always tell the truth about things. I've never said that Hangman Page was the greatest thing ever. I've never said it on. You have no. That's your point.
You have never openly defended Hangman Page. But here's when I thought he was the most menacing. When he was turning on the Elite, he didn't say much. Remember?
Yeah.
He was kind of menacing, and it was like, yo, he's kind of a bad, kind of cowboy type, like, And he's like, "You look, I'm a loner. I drink." But then it's like when he turned into this face, all of a sudden, it was like, "Yo, what's going on with Hangman?" It's like you don't know who he is now. And I'm like, bro, he went from there being this kind of tough cow. Like the tough cowboy gimmick can be recycled as many times. He's one of the few guys of this generation that was able to pull it off.
Right.
And then it's like they went away from it somehow. And I'm trying to figure out. I didn't watch the show enough to keep up with the progression from where he was to where he is now. But I saw him on TV the other night, and I was like. Even how he's cutting his promos, like he's just pleading with the dog, like, guys, I let you down. I'm like, that wasn't who Hangman Page originally was. He was kind of quiet. He was kind of mysterious. He was kind of this Lone Ranger, this, Clint Eastwood cowboy type. He kind of lurks in the shadows and does his own thing. And then now
you thought he was going to go Stone Cold Steve Austin on people, but they completely just changed it.
Well, because they gave that gimmick to Moxley already. The no nonsense. I do what I want. Nobody. I'm unhinged. You know what I mean? And I think Moxley that you brought up catches flack for it because it's like, bro, we saw this show already, and we saw the person that played the part before you did it way better. So it's like, it's not that it's bad, but it's just not game changing. And AEW was a game changing product. Like nobody thought anybody would come up with the money or the backing to sit there and pull out another national promotion like this on this level and have the success that they're having, right?
Yep.
But it's like now you want to be in that conversation, but now you got to put up a shut up. And I'm like, yo, can you guys deliver? Like I'll give you an example. When you watch the WWE, it doesn't always have to be the wrestling that you're watching, right? See, people think like you want to watch wrestling. That's what New Japan is for. That's what Ring of Honor was at one point. You know what I mean?
That's what Impact is for.
Impact, that same thing. All that young talent over there, right? Mm-hmm. Wrestling has always been about theatrics. These larger than life characters, and they're presented in this larger than life way, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about on the group text the other day, Aleister Black,
right?
Never a big fan of him because he was a devil character. Like that, now we've seen it 1,000 times, right? But we were like, one thing I used to say was, I said, I'm not gonna lie to you. I said, I'm not a huge fan of it. I said, but I've never seen that guy have a bad match, period. Right? And then when he made his way to the main roster, everything from the way he debuted to the camera angles of how he comes up, how they highlight the cameras, and then the flip up from the Cassidy, like his presentation was excellent. Like that's perfect. A piece of it.
It was perfect.
I mean? Like, even if you didn't know who that man was by watching his entrance, like, yo, I don't know who this guy is, but I kind of have an idea who he is, this menacing dark character. And he was just kind of this Luciferian anti-hero because he wasn't a bad guy. You know what I mean?
He wasn't.
He was never a bad guy. He like, that's what I said, very Luciferian. Like, Luciferians have the devil's misunderstood attitude. And that was kind of his whole thing. He wasn't the Undertaker. He wasn't Demon Finn. Like, he was a different entity.
He wasn't Kane. He wasn't Brock Lesnar.
He wasn't any of that stuff, right? So I watched his AEW debut the other day. And I was thoroughly disappointed because I'm like, yo, you guys made such a big deal about you made such a big deal about his. Think about it, his promo when he first left the WWE, right?
Mm-hmm.
The video package you did, excellent. It was like, oh man, same thing with Moxley. Everybody does their little video package when they leave, or you know what I mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you say, okay, cool, man. Let's see what they have to offer. Like, what are they gonna give us now? He comes out. He the way he debuts in the dark with Cody Rhodes, bang, black mask, boom, done. Like, okay, you got my attention. You officially have me interested in you in a way that I have not been. I don't even call him. I like, your name is Malachi to me now because that's how I recognize you, right? Malachi Black has me interested.
Malachi Black.
The first match comes out, and I'm like, okay, I'm expecting this elaborate look, kind of like similar to Karrion Kross. You know what I mean? He's missing a piece of what he does on the main roster because something as simple as your entrance makes a difference. Because how he was depicted, they said he's lost his mystique because of his menacing entrance. His wife, the smoke, the entrance, that stuff plays a part, right? Because that's why we watch wrestling, especially us. We're grown. Like that's the entertaining part of it. I was waiting for that from Malachi Black. I said, let's see what he comes up with. As far as that, what type of entrance he's going to do. He came out regular entrance, all black.
You wanted a Bray Wyatt type of entrance.
I wanted something elaborate because that's who he is, right?
Demon,
I'm like, let's see that creativity on display. Y'all got the money, y'all got the budget, but it's like their production stuff has never been to me on the levels like
of a Kevin Dunn.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and don't get me wrong, it doesn't have to be. You know what I mean?
The Beaver.
But it's like, bro, like, okay, cool. So he gets in the ring once again. I've never seen him have a bad match. That wasn't an issue. His interaction with Cody, boom, boom, boom. But now it looks really regular. It doesn't look as special as it to me it could have been. And not saying that it wasn't special, but I'm like, they could have done better with this because WWE barely booked the guy, and his interest was enough for you to be interested in what he was doing. Right. The problem is there's no continuity in the WWE. There's no consistency. You know what I mean? Yes. AEW comes out and he puts on a good wrestling match. Like, bro, we know y'all can put on good wrestling matches. Aren't you supposed to give me more if you're supposed to be this big company? Because you can want to compete with the WWE, and that's what they do. That's how they get kids involved.
So out of AEW, what you would like to see more of is elaborate entrances.
I want to see details of those little things. You know what I mean? Those are things that you can take time to figure out. Like, how do we make this? How do we make, like, for instance, Cody has one. Like when Cody debuts, what's the first thing you hear? Wrestling has more than one royal family. He comes up from the ground. The smoke plays. They play a 3-minute video before he even comes out there. And you're like, okay, this is Cody rides from the ashes of what he was supposed to be. Okay, you get that because the interest told me, right? Okay. That's the detail. Someone as special as him, I'm like, this is a renaissance. Like, for instance, I'll give you a prime example. If freaking Bray Wyatt shows up in AEW and debuts like that, it's going to be a disappointment.
I agree with you.
He's going to have an excellent video package because they're better than WWE at this point. Their video packages and their vignettes are ridiculous. That's how good they are. You know what I mean? And then the bell rings. He just comes out. The fans at Daly's Place go nuts. Great. It's the same audience that's there every week in Jacksonville. It's TNA. It's the same thing they did in Orlando, in freaking Orlando. And it's the same thing they do in Nashville. And I'm like, yo, you got to give me more. I'm at home on TV, right? You got to give it. For instance, Drew McIntyre, he changed interest because he had to do something more dramatic because they said, how do we make you look larger than life? He comes out with a kilt. He comes out. They even had a whole storyline just so they can get to that one interest. Like boom, that's Braveheart. You know what I mean? That shows you something. That's just something as simple as when I watch a 6-year-old watch that interest, he don't care about the match. That right there, he likes Drew McIntyre just because it looks cool at the end of the day because that's the audience you're competing with. Mm-hmm. I hope you don't think you're gonna compete with the WWE trying to cater to us because I'm not paying for nothing in AEW. I'm getting everything for free. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody pays for WWE stuff anymore. You know who pays for that stuff? The parents who are trying to keep their kids quiet. You know what I mean?
This is a different platform. But if you have Peacock, you can get it for free.
That too. We're not even going that conversation.
Oh God, we're gonna start with
they are the worst streaming service out.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
It's the worst service ever. But
they don't network. They don't own.
But Raj, it's those details that I want to see them going with them. Like, yo, because you guys can do it. You got the money. Y'all are talking trash.
Everything you just said in the last 10 minutes, I agree with, man. Now that I really do agree with because they do need to separate, who is who with entrances and a little more detail to characters. I mean, they do a great job with the video packages, of course.
Yes, they do an excellent job with those.
I mean, the best one I like was when
the Dark Order one was pretty good.
Man. The Dark Order one was excellent.
Him and Paige, it was good. They had me. I'm like, okay, let's stop.
Let me tell you how good the Dark Order video packages were. They were so good that when I saw the Dark Order perform, I was so disappointed.
Right.
because it seemed like a joke now. Because at first what they did was, I'm gonna tell you how good their packages were. They blurred the lines between euphemisms and reality, right? Because when you see the Dark Order, you thought, okay, here's another devil group, another dark group, right? But then when they revealed Brody Lee, and you're like, oh, this dude is playing the image of the spirit of a Vincent McMahon. And I was like, oh, this is genius because it was dark, it was menacing, but it was reality at the same time. The problem was that didn't transfer to the product in the ring.
Right.
Like that same energy that in the vignettes. I'm like, bro, who's directing the vignettes? Because they need to direct video production when these guys come out and do things on, because things like that I'm a new viewer. It got me interested. Like I'm like, yo, I'm trying to find new ways to stay involved. And I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, man, this is cool as wrestling, but you know, I'm a little bit older, so I need something to just wrestling to keep me interested. I was like, yo, these Dark Order packages, join the Dark Order. It's all the third. Brody Lee does this Vince McMahon-esque character. I'm like, yo, he's poking fun at this type of person.
Especially
and it was like boardroom. It was so creative. I've never seen anything done like that before. And I was like, yo, this is genius. Until the ring started. And then he got the goofy little guys and they get beat up and they're losing. And he's beating those guys up. And I'm just like, y'all just killed the whole vibe of what y'all had going right. Like you had some serious stuff going on. I'm like, what happened to that? You know, of course, there's untimely death and stuff like that.
Yeah,
got in the way, but it went back to me just being a fan of what Brody Lee's been able to do on his own, rather than, man, the Dark Order can be something serious when it comes to, you know, wrestling.
But he would never got that opportunity if he didn't leave WWE.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I respect anybody that's willing to bet on themselves. You know what I mean?
Like Cody did. Yeah.
My only thing, this is my problem with some guys that go to AEW. My only thing is, once you get there, you got to show up. Put up a shut up.
Right.
Cody, phenomenal. You know what I mean? Brody Lee, phenomenal. That's a guy I've never really been invested in. Like I liked him for what he was.
Yeah, I agree with you. I never invested in him either.
Never invested in him. But when he finally got that, I was like, he's doing a good. I didn't know he had that type of range. I said, yo, he's doing an excellent job with what he's done. Another guy bet himself, Matt Hardy.
I can't say it's all his fault, but
it's not. And that's the thing. He came over during the time. He made the best of what he was able to do. But due to COVID, he had to throw away the entire opportunity. He had to throw away the entire gimmick. And that's not his fault. But it's like, man, I respect guys that want to bet on themselves. I'm gonna give you somebody that I'm not feeling right now.
Who?
Andrade.
Lance Archer?
I'm gonna get to Lance Archer in a minute. Okay. We got quite a bit to go over.
Oh boy.
Okay, what's wrong with Andrade? Because he's just got there, so you give me your breakdown.
I'd say for Dwayne Go, we had Vicky Guerrero with him. I got Chavo with him.
I'm gonna tell you what you found out about Andrade. It don't matter what company he's in, he still can't cut a promo.
And that's true.
Well, yeah, that's definitely true.
He doesn't believe that though, because he comes out there like he has the look. I'm like, okay, this is the difference between him and Alberto Del Rio is literally the language barrier. Vince was always looking for the next big Mexican superstar once Rey Mysterio was kind of in and out, you know, because once he's there, after a while, it's not a big deal till you leave and you come back, right? So, but Del Rio was his perfect pitch. He was a big guy. He spoke excellent English. You can do vignettes. He could live and look the character like it worked. You know what I mean? His Mexican aristocrat. It was a difference. It was a different spin on a Latino superstar. You know what I mean? Because we never seen a Mexican aristocrat. That's never been done before. It's always some type of stereotypical thing. So it worked out well. And I'm like, that's what he's looking for in his WWE demographic of superstars, right? You got a guy like Andrade that's, to me, tenfold better than Alberto Del Rio. He has the look, he has the moveset, but then his language, he cannot carry a promo, because you got to think about it. What builds and what drives TV, professional wrestling money TV? It's the ads, it's the sponsors. The sponsors will push for certain people to be on certain segments, and they'll pay big money for their ads to cross it based off that superstar. That's why he wants to get a Mexican. That's why he wants to have a black one. That's why he wants to have a short one. That's why he wants to have the big girl. That's why he wants to have the butch looking. Like they're trying to attack demographics because they got to pay the bills. It's the business, right?
That's the business.
You look at a guy like Andrade, I'm like, bro, you can't talk. You can't carry a promo because your language is still kind of broken sounded. That's why they keep giving you mouthpieces. Because in WWE, he didn't want to wait. He wasn't seasoned. He was great in the ring. Sure, they didn't know how to book him because it was one of those like, man, he's too good not to book him. But then where do you go from here? Inconsistent WWE booking as usual. And he didn't want to wait. Okay, I respect that. You don't got to wait. If you feel like you got it right now, he goes AEW. He don't know what he is. One week he got this gear on. Next week he got that gear on. He got Vicky with him. She don't know what to do. Then
She's still trying to figure it out.
And I'm like, bro, you made all that noise, and he's going to need time. But I'm like, bro, you needed time in the WWE as well. You know what I'm saying? Don't make it seem like they're missing the boat on me because they don't know what to do with me. Now, I heard from the very beginning, through the dirt sheets, he wasn't happy a lot. Del Rio split the base. Like when he was in NXT, he was trying to leave because Del Rio was like, yeah, he's frustrated. He don't want to be here because he don't want to wait. You know what I mean? And Del Rio told him to stick it out, just wait, see what happens. And this was NXT. He goes to the main roster and they don't know what to do. And I'm like, yo, because he's not ready. I thought he was going to come in immediately and swinging. You know what I mean? Like now,
main event guy.
I'm still watching him trying to find his way, which is fine. But at the same time, like you why would you waste all that WWE energy that you got, that you made? Oh, you already made a name for yourself. Your job is to come in and prove why they should have gave you more opportunity. And he's trying to figure out what he's going to be besides walk around in a suit and fake like he's ready to talk. And then somebody takes the mic away from him and say, "No, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna speak for Andrade." And I'm like, where are we going with this? This is why you left. This is the opportunity. Look, now, if that's what he wanted, if he's happy, okay. But as a fan, I'm like, bro, I'm not seeing you being booked any better now than what you were booked before. They come in, they get the initial match with Cody or somebody important, right?
To me, it's still early though.
It is early.
And the only reason I'm saying that is because we felt the same way about Miro when he came in with an
That was
birthday
goofy.
cake and doing the same stuff he was doing with WWE.
Yeah, that didn't make sense to
And
me at all.
I'll say this. I think it's money with him and Death Triangle. There's definitely money there. They're building towards something good. Trust me.
Oh, yep.
It's money
Cool.
there. With Death Triangle and Andrade.
Andrade.
It's money there. It's money.
mean,
They need to use Penta like a real deal.
Whose money? Like where what money? What do you mean by that? Let me ask that first. Because we had this conversation as well.
I'll say this. It's probably been no more misused tag team in AEW than Lucha Brothers, right? So I think putting them with Andrade can kind of get them on the right path to being that team that we remember, that dominant heel tag team, represent the Mexican culture. Andrade can be his thing. They got Chavo. It can set up something. That's all I'm saying. They planting the seeds for a good story. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, yeah. I mean, look, I don't doubt that one bit. We had an argument the other day where I said the biggest story to me is freaking. I said if my issue as we pivot, you look at Penta El Zero, Pentagon Jr., right?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about we talk for a well-traveled, you know what I mean, Latino superstar. You know what I mean? I knew about him before, like for a long time, right? He left TNA Impact a former world champion. You know what I mean? And then he came in, you know, spoken to Will, you know, doing the thing with his brother, Lucha Brothers, and that was all fine and dandy. But I'm like, yo, first they're in Death Triangle, COVID hits, they with Eddie Kingston, now they're back. And I'm like, yo, why? These guys are on TV every week. But I'm like, yo, Penta's a big deal. You give Penta and Andrade 40 minutes by themselves. Gonna bring the freaking house down. You give Andrade and Pop 40 minutes by themselves. Once again, it's going to bring the house down. But those guys are all grouped together. And I'm like, yo, some of these, like Pentagon to me should have been in my opinion, if I'm booking AEW, he's an impact player. He's getting the same push as Cody. He's getting the same push as Moxley. He's getting the same, simply because he's never been pushing it like before outside of the smaller promotions. He just came from Impact. I know he's got his brother, but they're always going to be brothers. Look at the Hardy situation. They're always going to be the Hardys regardless. But they have these long, extensive breaks where they're not the Hardys. And then whenever they decide they want to, they can always come back together because the Hardys is one of those brands. I believe the same thing about the Lucha Brothers. They're that well traveled. You know what I mean? But I'm like, yo, that match to me could have brought you more money and could have been another cornerstone piece to what you build in AEW. But now it's another side and another footnote. It's something that's going to be on your undercard just to make the crowd go ooh and ah. But I'm like, bro, they're better than just oohs and ahs. You know what I mean? Why isn't Penta is toyetic? Like I know kids now that know who Penta is because they watch AEW. Like he's a crossover guy. He's got a mask. He look crazy. Little kids love that kind of stuff. I'm like, yo, why do you not push that guy in some way, shape, or form?
Got money on their hand. You saying, and
they not spit. I'm telling you, there's bread. I'm telling you.
Maybe they're just doing a slow build for him.
It could be. In all fairness, it could be.
I mean, I think that's the thing about AEW is they don't just throw it to you. They don't just give it to you right off the bat. They build up to things. So I mean, I understand that a lot of the guys that come in should just get thrown to the top. Mm-hmm. Like Miro should have got thrown to the top, or Penta should have got thrown to the top, or Hangman Page should have got thrown to the top, or MJF should have got thrown to the top. No, it never works out like that. I think the difference between AEW and WWE is they actually plan on like who's going to get, you know, the title shot, who's going to get pushed, and you know they take turns and doing things like that. But yeah, I mean Penta has been, you know, a great wrestler in other companies. I just think he's biding his time right now until it's his time to get to the top.
Now he did fight Kenny Olivier mighty quick, Dwayne.
And did well then. And I'm glad you said that. I'm saying you said that. Like, he fought him in just a regular match. And I was going directly to D as soon as you said this. Now, Rod, you brought up very valid points. You know what I'm saying? And I think this is great stuff, because I think the world needs to hear these type of points that you're making when it comes to AEW, because you got some excellent points. But here's where I'm not sure what to believe in regards to what you said. What you said is true. That is their format, and that does work for them, right? But D, your partner in the Flex Zone, has criticized that formula, because he always talks about the way Kenny Omega has been booked, as he calls him Kenny Olivia, because that same way that everyone is booked, so was Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega wasn't booked to come up to go to the top when he came fresh off of his run in Japan, when he was at his hottest. They did the same thing. That slow build, and a lot of people, including D, says, I don't think that was the right direction to go in, because now you got to rebuild him instead of capitalizing on what you already did. That global buzz is not there anymore. Yeah. Now it's just AEW sauce. What do you say? Because that's the same format. And D said it didn't work for Kenny Omega, but you're saying, hey, look, this is the way AEW does things. They do the slow build. Kenny Omega was fresh off. He was the hottest free agent in the world, and he jumped right into a tag team.
It is also true, and sometimes it doesn't work out like that. Sometimes, I mean, I'll just be honest.
Yeah.
He's not your ideal champion. He's doing a lot of goofy things. I do agree with D with that. He has been Olivier at times, but maybe they should have just pushed him straight from the beginning. Maybe they should have gave him the belt from get-go.
D chimed in, brother.
They gave
and remember, Hangman was on top too, man. He fought Jericho for the title in their first title defense, and it just went downhill from there, man.
Right.
Sometimes you got to capitalize on that momentum right away.
Right. They should have gave him the belt. They should have gave it to him first, and then Moxley could have beat him for the belt. That's how it should have went down.
I think that's how everybody was expecting to go down. Do you think they went a different direction because we were all expecting that? Do you think they were trying to be different on purpose?
That's the reason why they did that, because it was too predictable. So they said, let's do the unpredictable thing. Let's give it to Moxley. Let's give him his run, and then we'll give it to Omega. You know, we'll build him up a little bit, and then give it to Omega. But it just didn't. It fizzled out. So I'm just waiting for the belt to get off of him at this point. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm waiting for the belt to get off of him. Hopefully, Hangman Page takes it from him. If he doesn't, then maybe Christian. But I don't see Christian getting the belt.
See, Chris definitely don't want to see Christian
at all.
Huh?
So you don't like Omega as champion at all?
I mean, he's okay. He's all right, but he's not like Olivia. I liked it better when Moxley had the belt. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't
care for Moxley's run. I actually enjoy Omega, but it still feel like something missing. I know we talked about Hangman Page earlier, and you know, with him, it hasn't been nothing as far as making me want to see him on TV. And that's what I mentioned.
You know what it is, Brian? You know what's like that?
Why?
Because I mean, when you got a guy like Roman Reigns in WWE that's doing the things that he is doing right now with the championship belt, it's kind of really hard to see guys like Bobby Lashley.
Now, here's the thing, though. Let me be honest with you. I said this on Wrestling Wrealm Now, which you can find every week right here on YouTube.
T-plug.
And all podcast platforms. I'm more invested in Kenny Omega. Like, if I turn on Impact Wrestling, I'm excited to see what he's going to do, who he's going to call out, who he's going to work with next. I don't get that same thing with him on AEW. It's just like, and I understand that. And I shout out to Blue from the Mixed Tag Show. I was talking to him about this earlier off air. I understand that I've been programmed to see your champion or your most important star open the show and close the show. It's been like that. With AEW, it's always somebody different, right? Last week it was Aleister Black and
Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes.
AKA I Spy. I
Spy.
But at one point it was the women. Another point it was Ethan Page, I think, was closing the show, and Darby Allin was closing the show. It seemed like everybody on the roster closed the show. And as a wrestling fan, who's been watching wrestling for almost 35 years, how can I'm trying to get out of my way at this point. And that's one of the things. But when I'm sitting there watching it, it's not that I don't enjoy the product. I know y'all think I'm a WWE show, whatever.
You are. You are.
Whatever.
Check is in the mail.
The thing is, all right, let it be. Shout out to Cash App. But the thing is, I want AEW to succeed. And a lot of times I think y'all AEW lovers and WWE haters think that we don't want another wrestling promotion to succeed. I remember what it was like in 1998 when we was sitting there. You know, I didn't know none of y'all at the time, but the phone conversation with your friends was, what happened on Raw? Okay, but what about Nitro? I remember those, especially, you know, going into the store and seeing WWE magazine over here, seeing, you know, Bruce Pritchard and talked about in the TV Guide magazines. You had one set with Hogan, Goldberg, and maybe like Sting, and you had another set with Austin, Rock, Taker.
That's crossover appeal. That's crossover money.
That's what I want.
That's crossover.
I want to see Jericho. I went to my godbrother who watched wrestling with all those years. Like, bro, I know you don't watch WWE no more. Listen, they got this new promotion called AEW coming out. You'll see it on TNT. Check out Jericho's over there. So let's see. But that's all, and that's was when they first started. I haven't been able to say that again confidently to anybody who used to watch wrestling. Y'all remember when the network came out, how many people who don't watch wrestling no more was subscribing to the WWE network just so that they could get that nostalgia feeling, you know? And everybody always say, oh, it was great when the Attitude Era, you had blood, you had this, that, and the other. AEW, they made it seem like with them being Attitude Era kids, because let's face it, all the EVPs are around our age. They made it seem like we was going to get all of that. Not the same thing, obviously, with times of changing, but they made it seem like we was going to get such good stuff, and we haven't, you know. And I'm waiting for it because I want them to succeed. Shoot, I got acquaintances over there, so obviously I want them to get all the bread that they can get.
And look, I agree with you, Brian. I want them to succeed as well. I think we all do.
We all do.
But,
no, you tend to think I don't. That's what
I don't know. At times when you talk, I don't know what you want, man. I'm really like, bro, like, what is he talking about?
You know, I like wrestling more than any other sport, so of course I want all.
I know you do. You are huge on wrestling. I will never take that away from you. You probably are the biggest wrestling fan I've
Vince
ever
don't
met
like you
in my
calling
life.
The sports entertainment, Brian. Don't get fined now.
No.
I mean, like I'm sitting up sending them GCW clips, but he trying to make it seem like I'm just WWE. Look at Brandon. Look at the 3 titles. You see that?
Yes. Yeah. You probably just put them right there for this video.
No, they're in order.
They've been
in order.
Wait a minute.
I got them.
Yes, but Brian, we know you're the belt king.
Hey, we always said that TNT title do look good. We've always said that. We always said that TNT title.
But yes, I agree, man. We want AEW to succeed, but wrestling just is never going to be like that again. To me, it's just you will never get that feeling that you got back in 1998.
Let me tell you why I'm frustrated. Let me tell you why I'm frustrated.
Go ahead, Dwayne.
Let me tell you, like Brian, everything he said was true and makes sense and stuff like that. Let me tell you why I'm frustrated. I'm upset because I don't got to go back that far. Do y'all remember in 2015 I went on strike with WWE? I remember we've had group text for a long time. I said, yo, I'm not watching this crap anymore. I had enough. Right?
You and Dante both was on strikes.
I was like, yo, I'm going on strike. And guess where I went? I went to New Japan. I went to Ring of Honor and you know, I went to PWG and I got more involved in independence and all the superstars that we enjoyed and all the NXT takeovers. I got to experience all those guys for the first time. All that talent that everybody said wouldn't have a shot in the WWE before NXT took off to be what it was, before it became destination place to be, right? NXT was your fallback spot. That was like, yo, if things will work out in the main roster, look, we can have this high production, independent feel and still be superstars. The product that they put out at the time with the talent that we're looking at today got it done on a low budget. They didn't have AEW's budget. They weren't selling out 10,000 square foot arenas, and they still got the job done. I'm talking from 2014 to 2016 mainly. To me, 15 was the golden years of the independent wrestling because I'm like, bro, everybody that we enjoy now was there. And they were like, you know what? We're not going to WWE, but we're going to make this the best product we can. And they were global crossover appeals. You know what I mean? They weren't exposed on social media as much. It was literally that good that wrestling fans had a place to go, including myself. Right?
And you know why it was that way, Dwayne? Because the product wasn't diluted. As far as them, it wasn't diluted.
It wasn't at all. You know why? Because it wasn't a weekly television show. They did monthly shows. You know what I mean? Things a little bit unhinged. And just the way that they performed under that atmosphere, under that type of professional wrestling, because it's different. You know what I mean? To me, I was like, yo, that's enough for me. And I enjoyed wrestling so much that year. And it had nothing to do with WWE at the time. I think Daniel Bryan was hurt. Roman was being pushed to the room. I was over everything. I was like, bro, I'm not. No. You know what I mean? I got to see Shelton Benjamin in New Japan. I got to see I was like Okada. You got to see Tana. Like I was knee deep, and I was like, yo, this stuff is really good. Like I was looking for that stuff almost every day, every week. And like you said, it wasn't the same way the product was presented. Mm-hmm. But now that talent is spread out through NXT, some of the main roster, and in AEW. And I'm like, bro, they've lost their luster. And I'm like, it doesn't take. AEW has that big budget, and I'm like, yo, if they would just would have kept it simple. Like for instance, All In, they kept that joint simple. It was my idea. I said, if they could have like a WrestleMania for independents, have every major promotion, and I kept saying to myself, it'll never happen because no companies will work with each other. Not really paying attention to the fact that all the wrestlers were independent contractors, except Kenny Omega. He got permission, but he didn't come out with that IWGP championship either. Right. You know what I mean? And and of course, Ray did his thing on the tight, and then of course Jericho debuts at the end, dressed as Pentagon, to close the show out. I was like, man, that they kept it simple. It was to the point. The first 10,000 arena sellout from a company that wasn't WWE in a long time. And I was like, yo, half the talent on All In was majority of the talent in that New Japan and Ring of Honor group that was all together at one point. I'm like, man, who knows what kind of damage they would have did if they just believed in themselves. If they would have took that risk financially to say, look, let's try to invest in this. Maybe we can sell out. But of course, it was intimidating because people didn't believe that wrestling fans would pay to see that level of talent. They said, let's just keep it small. Let's keep selling out the small convention centers and the small rooms and stuff like that. But AEW took a risk because they could financially take the cost. But I'm just not seeing the product on no level. AEW.
So I got a question for you. Mm-hmm. So you said from 2014 to 2016 on the Indies, you was loving professional wrestling.
The Indies and the global scene. Yep.
And global scene until NXT really started taking off after that, and they started pretty much doing exactly the same thing that the Indies were doing, but they were doing it in a in the WWE sense.
Absolutely. Yep.
Why is it that Vince McMahon will not listen to his son-in-law Triple H and just bring what NXT is doing to the main roster? Is it because sponsorship? Maybe it won't. Maybe the audience won't get it. You think it could be brand deals, or I mean, what is it? What why can't we get great matches on Raw and SmackDown, like we used to have back in NXT during those hot days of NXT? Why can't that cross over? I never understood that.
I'm gonna tell you what I think, honestly. I think Vince McMahon is such a sharp businessman that he underestimates the popularity of professional wrestling. If I keep it honest with you, right? He gets so focused on the sponsorships, on the commercials, on the business side of it all, that he dilutes his own product because he feels like wrestling isn't as popular as it used to be. And it's never going to be because financially I'm not seeing a reward from it. So I have to do things to cater to corporate way of thinking. Mm-hmm. He don't have to, but I think he just looks at it that way. And I'm like, yo, it doesn't work that way. And don't get me wrong. NXT, certain things worked in NXT that didn't always work in the main roster because of those same reasons. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think that Vince has that balance. I think he's stubborn. I think he's old. And because he's been doing it for so long, think about it. Let's talk about all the things that Vince was wrong about. He had to go back and say, I was wrong. Let's go with it. Let's talk about the Revolution. DX. He was ready to fire them. He was like, bro, if we weren't so broke, I would fire you right now. Right. Like, you're going to get us kicked off the air. Like, yo, we're going to be out of business. And then the minute they switched that to, they said, you know what? Maybe let's go in this direction. The whole Attitude Era as a whole, the man is stubborn. He has proven that he is stubborn. But one thing I know about Vince McMahon is, if you can prove him to be wrong and it be financially beneficial, he has gone with it. I think the older he gets, the more stubborn he gets, and the harder it is to convince of him how popular pro wrestling can really be. Like, for instance, 205 Live, when I watched the Cruiserweight Classic, it was legendary because it was unhinged, it was small, it was no limitations. As soon as they made the announcement, well, yeah, they already said 205 Live is going to be dialed down, because I said, then you killed the whole division before it even got started. Mm-hmm. The difference between the cruiserweights now and then, everybody upset himself. I didn't care what they did. He said when Nitro came on, he said I didn't care what they went out there and did. He said because I wasn't even worried about it, because I knew NWO was going to start the show, NWO was coming out in the middle, and they were going to close the show. Him being neglectful, He just wanted guys to go out there and put on a show to keep the fans occupied before they came back out there. Turned it to a phenomenon out of neglect. So it wasn't on purpose.
No, exactly. The cruiserweights were the best thing on WCW.
Like you could, like it did. You when NWO left at the commercial break, you look forward to them coming because you know, hey, here comes La Parka, here comes Hoover to Guerrero. Like you were like, okay, cool. Like you look forward to it. But like it was a vast array, and you didn't. And he didn't care. He didn't care what they did. He never thought to himself, Dragon. Don't let the Ultimate a legend. You know,
yes.
He never once said, "Oh, don't do too much because you're gonna make the people that come out after that look bad." Because he was that arrogant about what he was putting out in regards to the NWO, so he didn't care, and it became and nobody has ever been able to replicate cruiserweight wrestling of that popularity since then, because everybody's micromanaging, and you use the prime word, which is diluting.
Yeah,
they keep diluting up, and I'm like, when they said, "Oh yeah, they're gonna dial back 205," I said, if you don't let them go out there and do it, first of all, it's a dark match after the show goes off. It's the fans that stayed in the arena after the show, because we've been to a Raw and to a SmackDown 205 Live came on after, and you know you had to fight to stay there because you were tired after watching a 4-hour show almost. Mm-hmm. You were like, yo, like, you know, but like why you weren't even putting that stuff on TV at the time? It was on the freaking network. Why hold them back? Because you know we got to make sure that you don't get over the way, just like, yo, if you don't let your talents loose. See, when they were desperate and ready to put out a business, he said, we need everybody's best bet. Whatever you got, that's what we're going to put out. They're not that desperate no more.
All right. They became mad. They literally have became mad where it's just like, we're just going to throw you out there. And it is what it is. It's going to be the same thing every year.
Because you're going to buy it anyway. Whether you like buy it and complain about it. But you're going right. Yeah,
exactly.
And that's what Ziggler was talking about with the Goldberg stuff, man. He's like, y'all complaining about Goldberg, but y'all still cheering him. And Ronda Rousey, granted, she might have been cutting the heel promo, but you got a point. And to your point, Dwayne. Yep. And to your point, Dwayne, he looking at them ratings at NXT was like, man, they only getting $500,000. They only getting this. Should I really promote all these cats?
Yeah.
We lost to AEW. Should I?
Since we've been on the air, Desmond Troy just been released.
Yeah, it's looking ugly, man. But it's just like I said, I think he's caught between business because, like I said, I think that whole WCW, I think he has nightmares about that still. And I think in his mind, he's like, yo, between WCW, between the pandemic, between the global financial crisis in 2008,
and his football league,
XFL going down the toilet, and that was
twice, and it wasn't his fault the second time.
No, it was not.
Well, he sold it though.
Yeah, he
gave it to Rock.
The second time is bad. The first one, woo.
I think he's so paranoid financially that he makes decisions based off paranoia.
So you think he's still paranoid even though they made record profits in the pandemic? You think he's still paranoid?
It's not. What are you asking? What is he paranoid about though? Like what do you? Because we're not talking about record profits. That's not what we talking about. The finances.
Joe actually put on the good Monday night product.
No, that's not what we're talking about. You changed the subject. We're talking about.
I just think that is no reason for him to be paranoid because they're making more money than they ever made.
I'm not a businessman. I can't say that because guess what? They're still cutting people. I'm not in charge of that. Like I'm a fan. I look dumb if I make that argument. I can't say that. I don't know that. I'm a fan.
Some goofy Nick Khan's bringing them and saying, "Oh, we could save this amount of money by cutting this person." And Vince is like, "Okay."
I can't speak on that. I'm a fan. I don't know the business of WWE. I don't know why they're doing that. I don't know why Nike does it either. I don't know why they sent home 400,000 people. I don't know that. I can't speak on
LeBron. Is Nike going to cut Giannis after he just won a championship? No, I don't
want What does that got to do with the employees?
He just cut his hottest character that he ever created in years.
Do we know why?
Because I don't know why. Probably because money. It's only.
I guess we don't know that. The dirt sheet told us that. We don't know that. The dirt sheets.
Because of money. It only could be because of money.
How?
It's not for anything else.
We don't know that. That's the dirt sheet. You can listen. If you wouldn't have believed the dirt sheets, by all means, like I said, you can't sit there and say, "Oh, we got an AEW product. Let's see where it goes. Let's play it out."
Well,
but then listen to the dirt sheets when it comes to WWE's finances.
He demoted his son-in-law and bought in Nick Khan. He wants the money.
So you think his son-in-law was in charge of finances?
No, but he was demoted.
You think Triple H was demoted?
You can see that in NXT. NXT is terrible right now.
So you think Triple H was in charge of the finances that got demoted because of Nick Khan was being brought in? Do you know who was in charge of the finances before Nick Khan?
No, I'm not saying in charge of finance. I'm saying he got demoted from his position.
What was his permission? The chief operator. He was the CEO of the company, right?
Yes, he was.
So you say he's no longer the CEO?
No, he's not.
So we go on WWE's corporate website right now. It's not going to be Triple H.
he can have it by title, but he ain't doing the job.
Oh, so you must got information I don't have though. Like I said,
No.
because
I'm pretty sure your COO wouldn't cut your hottest character or cut some of these other people, or cut your company, or cut.
Do you know the CO's not in charge of that?
I'm just saying, look.
All I know is
I thought you had more information than we did.
All I know is this. Every time Triple H creates somebody that you think is going to be the next guy, Vince McMahon finds a way.
Yes, he
finds a way to just. No, he's not.
He's a stubborn old man, and it's killing it. It's killing, like, bro. You killing whatever momentum that guy builds for you. And I know they're probably frustrated. DX, all DX is down there. Freaking Road Dogg. HBK,
Shawn Michaels is frustrated. Triple H is frustrated. I'm like, bro, everybody is frustrated because they're actually building good talent down there. And then he's like, bro, why are you not pushing these guys?
He makes them start. Roster? He makes them start all the way over when they get to the main roster. And it's like, bro, what's the point of it then? What's the point of getting those guys over if they're not making the monumental splash when they get to the main roster? All of a sudden, he's not believing what he. So don't bring him up then. You know what I mean?
And that's why Adam Cole didn't never want to come up. That's why Johnny Gargano don't want to never come up.
If I'm Adam Cole, I'm like, bro, like, what reason would I want to stay in the company? I'm like, bro, if I make too much money, I might get cut next. What are you saying? And we don't know the reasons why these things are happening. Like I said, we don't have the ins and outs. Like, for instance, the dirt sheets tried to say when Ric Flair got cut, he was not happy about Charlotte's, but like the dirt sheets say anything. Mm-hmm. He wasn't happy about Charlotte's, so he demanded and then legally, Ric Flair goes, I can officially speak on this, and he's like, look, I didn't have an issue with WWE. The problem is everybody knows Ric Flair don't want to be home, and everybody knows that Ric Flair is 75 years old. But Ric Flair got a problem. If he stay home, he's gonna die. He's not gonna make it. So he probably
even though he has a wife,
he don't. That ain't never stopped him before. That's 5 wives.
No, I don't know why he got married.
That's 5 because you know why? Because he don't want to be alone. But if you understand Ric Flair's backstory, like he was a black market baby.
We seen it. We seen the
backstory.
Like
he needs some counseling. You know what I mean? He don't want to be home at all. If he's not on the road, if he's not on the road,
that's nothing to woo about,
bro. He's not okay.
Woo!
So he probably wants to be involved in the business. Like, bro, I don't got nothing for you as of right now. But he's like, look, we disagreed about my future, so I asked Marley so I can do other things. That's a business decision. I respect that. But of course, 2 days before that happened, what did Dirt Sheet say? Oh, it was 5 different stories out. I'm like, bro, y'all are saying anything. Like y'all are just like really.
You might be a Dirt Sheet writer.
I mean, like as long as it spreads, like, if you put out one rumor, bro, it spreads like wildfire. Like it don't even gotta be true.
Rumor and then you went though.
It spreads
a lot
like.
Of things, but the sad thing is a lot of things are true. That's the sad part about it. Is
I'd say about 60-40.
Might be rumor innuendo. It might be like, oh, this didn't happen or this happened, but a lot of things right now about the E is true. Like I don't understand why he's releasing all these wrestlers. I really don't get it.
It's not a good look. I say that it's not a good look.
But here's the thing, right? So a lot of times there are some names, right? We mentioned Bray Wyatt, but you can put him over here. Are we really missing Braun Strowman? Like, was anybody really going to their TV to say, I want to see that Braun Strowman match?
Yes, I was. I enjoyed the Strowman Express. Yes, the heck I was.
But how many people? You don't see people. You heard the "We Want Wyatt" chants. That's Chicago being Chicago, right? Yep. But when you really think about these names, there isn't. He's not. He didn't release Randy Orton. He didn't release Roman Reigns. He didn't release Bianca Belair. He ain't even released Bayley. So the people that's getting cut aren't people that's like you're going home running saying, man, if this would have been
except Bray Wyatt might have been the biggest one because he was your number one merchandise.
That one doesn't make any sense, but that's something about that seems fishy though. I'm waiting to see what happens with that.
He wasn't on TV though. At the end of the day, it's not like he was in an active story mode. Now, granted, we was upset, a lot of people, when he lost at WrestleMania. And Dwayne brought this up earlier on Wrestling Wrealm.
I was upset when he lost a lot of these matches.
Yeah, but
not just that WrestleMania, but the Goldberg match was god awful.
No, that was a point to that.
John Cena.
It was a point to the Goldberg match. It was a longer term story. The story was to get the Roman and Goldberg, and you also
Cena to Wyatt.
Yeah, where was you going to send the Fiend back to? But the thing was, you purposely when you look at it, like we was mad that he lost at WrestleMania, but the fact is he wanted to go home.
But what did the fans do though? Oh,
We
look
cried.
what Vince McMahon does it again. And the reports came out. They were like, no, Wyatt was in bad shape because Brody Lee passed away. He agreed to come and do that. Like, that's the stuff I'm talking about. Like, you hear the Dirty say anything, I'm like, bro, we don't, unless you know somebody personally. I'm not running with that. This is, like I say, this is why people make fun of us. You can't sit there and speak on something that we don't know the truth. Like, we can speculate, sure. We can give our opinions on it. I can give our 2 cents, but like, yo, if like it's the same thing. When the biggest one of all was freaking Sasha Banks. They did a whole documentary about the rumors that speculated when she went missing. When everybody, I wish I could
manipulate the pictures. So she was
crying. I wish I could pull up all the dirt sheet stuff that said she was leaving. She asked for her release. She was done, and all this other stuff. And don't get me wrong, that stuff did occur because she said it on Broken Skull Sessions with Stone Cold. Like, yeah, I had a meet with Vince McMahon, but that was the only meeting I had. All the other stuff that came out was just hearsay. And she said she sat there and watched it all. Dirt sheets, and fans ran with it. Same thing with Wyatt. They was like, oh, he lost Randy Orton again. There we go again with this. And then the whole time, he only agreed to come to Mania to finish out that one storyline. And he was going back home because he wasn't mentally in the right state of mind. We don't know what's going on. I don't know. I'm going to wait and see. Because that one does not make any sense to this day. That I'm like, yo, something's fishy about this. I don't know what it's about. You know what I mean? And sometimes those guys that cut these lists, there's a list of guys that Vince McMahon, when the Good Brothers got cut, they hate Paul Heyman to this day. Because they said they called Mr. McMahon personally. He said, no, y'all were not on my list. He said, I didn't put you on my list. He said, somebody put you on the list. They said, who did it? He said, it was Paul. Paul put you on this list to cut.
It was snitched.
He did. Now Vince could have vetoed it. You know what I mean? But if there's anything that Vince McMahon is guilty of, is being the type of employer that listens to the people that he puts in charge. Because they're the ones who make the mistakes, and he's okay in it.
Especially when you hire people that don't even know the business.
And that's the problem, though. That's what all the wrestlers are saying. Like, yo, he's got all these goons that are like manipulating the system.
Yes, man. Yes, man.
And then he's not stepping up to be like, no, we're not doing this. Oh no, I'm vetoing this. And that's the problem. Because guess what? Paul Heyman got booted out of that position a month later. AJ Styles refused to work with him. The Good Brothers could have still been in WWE on Main Event every week. At least I'd have saw them in their OC t-shirts. You know what I mean? But you know, they got released off something that had nothing. Like, Triple H tried to bring them back. He's like, "Yo, come to NXT, please. I'll let me try to figure it out. Let me buy some time so I can figure out what's going on." But he wasn't able to do that because this is the nature of the business, and the problem is the nature of the business. Because Vince McMahon has the ability to change the narrative, and it doesn't seem like he has a good enough reason to. And I think that's bothersome because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do in NXT. If you don't prove it to Vince, like Rey Mysterio got booed out of the WWE. He went missing for 4 to 6 years or however long he was gone. And he came back, and he was what? He was Rey Mysterio all over again. Because sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes I think Daniel Bryan's going to probably end up doing the same thing. CM Punk is different conversation. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to leave to prove
CM Punk is a whole different animal.
Do you think CM Punk is going to ruin AEW? No. Because he made it very clear he doesn't care about anything but money.
No, I don't think
he did say he would work with the young guys.
He has no choice. Who else is in AEW?
He said he wanted to work with the young guys.
Dwayne, after getting knocked out twice and
twice.
Getting his ass whooped twice in UFC, I don't think he's gonna do anything that's gonna hamper the AEW experience.
I'm talking about.
If anything, he'll add to it.
He's the rumors say he's not a good locker room guy because he's all business. Because he's all business. And there's two types of guys. Like there's an old school mentality that you hear a lot of old timers say when they say things like, "Look, this is not the wrestling friendship; it's the wrestling business. You're not here to make friends." This generation is a little bit different, but CM Punk carries that old school mentality sometimes. You know what I mean?
I agree.
He carries that as like, "Look, man, we're not here to be friends. We're here to do business." And it seems like that was always the running joke against the WWE stands. They're like, yeah, of course, man, shoot, if Vince doesn't want to play ball, go to Tony Khan. He's paying us big money to do nothing. We can come in, have part-time dates. He's paying us full-time money. Because my thing is he paying you the same amount of money you was making in WWE to work part-time dates? Or are you willing to take a pay cut to work part-time dates in AEW, but you wouldn't take a pay cut to work small dates in WWE? Or maybe just the numbers don't balance out. I don't know that. You know what I mean?
Or maybe he is. He has the bread.
He does that, but that's why Vince McMahon said, "Shoot, I don't know what his investments are, but maybe we could send him more talent." He wasn't shooting in a wrestling interview. That was a conference call.
I know he does a lot of things in conference.
He was serious.
Scratching my head. I know he's serious about a lot of things, Dwayne.
Bro,
I know.
I was like,
trust me.
What's going on? Like, was he? I'm like, is he?
No,
wow, that's funny. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, look at Brian trying to be funny.
Yo said I never see negotiate Adam Cole's contract.
Word on the street, Adam Cole was in this is what the reports are, that he was at SmackDown negotiating his contract.
That's funny.
Come on, give me that money, baby.
You already know his significant other is in AEW with the belt. So,
but I don't think Vince McMahon's getting outbid. He ain't giving it to you. They don't want to take the money. They've ever had the freedom.
That's also another thing. A lot of guys like Andrade. They want that. They want the freedom.
I think all that they get more money is cap. They're not getting more money in AEW. That's cap. That's cap.
You don't think they get more money?
It's cap. They get more upfront.
I think it's scenario.
I think it's people. I think we all can agree. It's people sitting at home on WWE that's making more than AEW people. I'm just saying.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it's a case by case scenario.
Yeah, it depends on who you are and how big you are.
And that's where Tony Khan needs to realize: don't try to keep up with Vince McMahon. Don't try to overpay for everybody. You don't need everybody.
But here's my thing: at the end of the day, if they keep adding more WWE people, what happens to these AEW, the ones that Roger named?
Impact.
You know, what's going to happen to them?
Well, WCW.
Hopefully, Rampage is decent. It's an hour on Fridays. I know it's in the deaf time slot, but it can allow more time. More
like, did we not learn
the worst time slot?
Them weeks that AEW during the NBA playoffs?
We learned that TV class how bad of a time slot that is.
Yeah, we all learned that, man. When you study TV, you know Saturday nights is a dead night, man.
That's why Saturday night.
Friday, Friday, Saturday night.
That's why
I got my Nielsen ratings device with me, so you already know how deep it is with TV with me.
Byron made a good point though.
Byron made a good point. Is going to debut on Rampage.
Byron made a good point about not trying to compete with just paying guys. So let me ask you this.
I don't think they need to sign anybody. Honestly, I didn't think they needed Brian or CM Punk. Personally, I thought they was good.
Well, that's my next question. What is too many? What becomes too much for AEW when it comes to the WWE talent? Because now the word of the street is, look, Tony Khan's paying big money for anybody with former WWE across the, like not guy like Tony Nese, stuff like that. I'm talking like the Christians and the Big Shows, and Mark Henrys and all that kind of stuff. They debut, and then hopefully with Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. You know what I mean? What becomes too much now? Like where do you draw the line? Where do you as a fan say, okay, look, AEW, y'all are doing too much. I don't need all that, because when WWE took a lot of the talent, they took a lot of guys that were kind of disregarded, like the Chris Benoit's, the Eddie Guerrero's, Perry Saturn's, the Radicals, Eddie Guerrero's. You know what I mean? They took those groups. They went after those guys first. They went after the Rey Mysterios, the Chris Jerichos. You know what I mean? Because Chris Jericho was treading in thin water in WCW and then debuted against The Rock. Although he had some time to figure out the WWE way. Big Show was another guy. Came off the top of a big run, had to figure out his way, but jumped right into the main event storyline with Vince McMahon and St. Valentine's Day Massacre, all that kind of stuff. What becomes too much in regards to AEW picking up WWE guys? Where do you grow the line and say, you know what, now it's going too far?
I think they're getting there, Dwayne, honestly. Like, I thought
on this.
I ain't gonna lie. I thought before CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, even when I heard the news, I was like, okay, it moves the needle for the mainstream aspect, because a lot of WWE fans will say, oh, CM Punk, oh, Daniel Bryan, I know those people. Let me see what this new product is about. I wasn't going to probably watch it on my own either way, because I'm fed up with wrestling. Most of us, either we going to be WWE or we fed up with it. It's over. So a lot of them probably hear that and they'll check it out. Hence why I think he's going to debut on a Rampage. But honestly, I don't think they really need to sign Adam Cole. I think Adam Cole actually going to go back to WWE, because I think they're going to break him off. And I think they're going to work out a deal where he can be the face of NXT and really be the main star they got. Same with Pete Dunne. I don't think he's leaving either. But I think they don't need to sign anybody else. Like, even if, let's say, a Keith Lee gets cut, I think they should let some of these guys. I don't think, even if they would have signed like a Bray Wyatt, I think he should sit at home till next year. I don't think they need to debut anybody else after CM Punk and Bryan till next year.
You know what happened,
Roger?
I agree. I mean, because I don't want to see Braun Strowman in AEW.
Oh God,
I mean, they just signed Ruby.
He is a WWE gimmick through and through. Give him 10 minutes.
Right.
Let him make his noise.
But Dwayne, you right though. Dwayne, you right. A lot of people love Strowman. That's why he was getting paid like that because
the kids.
Because Vince saw a sideshow attraction.
That's
he did team up with a kid at WrestleMania.
I mean,
heavy things. I make those sounds.
The kids
for the live audience.
The kids. I told you. Yep.
And then he won a tag team belt with a kid. Before.
That's what I'm saying. Like that. That ain't meant to be.
I mean,
he was the guy himself that his best part of the gimmick is going to the children's hospital and doing the little stuff. He said this is the best part of the gimmick, of the gig. So I think he'll be back. You know,
yeah, he'll definitely go. He's definitely coming back to WWE on a much cheaper contract. But
he's like the boogeyman. Like you're there for your part.
He's a lifer. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
but I don't want to see. I don't want to see him in AEW. I know AEW just signed Ruby Riott, so she'll be there.
She'll be good for women,
and they need a woman like her.
Yeah, they definitely need her.
But I'm with Byron. I don't want to see them take everybody from WWE. I think CM Punk and Daniel Bryan is enough for right now. I think they just need to tread lightly, build up who they have. You know, take just key people that they took in key people. They took the Meros, they took Mark Henry, they took
you know what though? Here's what happens though. It's like, all right, everything y'all saying makes sense.
Big Show.
But then what happens is it's kind of like you have a bunch of candy, right? And you say, all right, I'm done. I'm not gonna eat no more candy. But then all of a sudden the next best thing comes out. All right, I got to try that. So then, all right, let's just say they capped off no more WWE people. But then all of a sudden, Adam Cole becomes available. You mean to tell me you're going to say no to him? You know, he's one of the best wrestlers.
Of course not. You're not going to say no to Adam Cole.
Yeah.
The only reason you won't say no to Adam Cole is because his girl is over there. So that's why.
That ain't the only reason. Got a lot of friends outside of.
All right, so let's go up a ladder, right? Let's go up another ladder.
He used to be part of the elite,
becomes available. You know, are you gonna say no, Dolph Ziggler? You know, are you really gonna say no?
Ziggy Job?
Yes, I'm saying hell no to Dolph.
Tony Khan won't. And then let's go even further. Let's go. You know, somebody you never think will become available. Seth Rollins. Are you gonna say no?
Oh God, no. Because they running. They run to the ball.
I'm saying no. I'm saying no to Seth Rollins.
I understand what y'all saying as far as you don't.
Tony Khan.
I'm saying no to Seth Rollins.
Right.
But you wouldn't. I mean,
the only person they need to be running to is if Keith Lee get released. They can stay for everybody else. They can stay for everybody, even Adam Cole. They got enough small guys.
Whoa! You mean tell me you take
his boys are over there, Byron? His boys are over there.
Listen to me. We think the best of Adam Cole.
His homies are over there
on NXT.
Byron has a point though.
We're not listen to me. I love AEW. I still love WWE. Look, WWE gets my money every month. I buy a shirt. But listen to me. I'll tell you this. Adam Cole is not gonna get anything better than when he debuted at NXT against Drew McIntyre, formed the Undisputed Era, had those matches against Johnny Gargano. You're not gonna get nothing better than that with that crowd, with MR shouting Mamma Mia. You ain't gonna get no better than that. Only person that make me jump up out my seat, and I'm being honest, is Keith Lee. Because if Vince is smart though, now Raw is goofy, but one thing the Chicago fans are, they honest, and they're behind Keith Lee. That match was whatever it was on Monday with Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross don't have it, but Keith Lee has it. And you saw that on Monday. The crowd still chanting Keith Lee. Woo, woo, Keith Lee. They want that man to be good. And if Vince is any type of smart, which I hope he has at least 1% left, he will take this and push Keith Lee. Not saying he got to be a main eventer tomorrow, but if they want to build him up, put him in that upper mid card, the fans will get behind him. He has a new star in the making. This man went toe-to-toe with Roman last year, and Roman even dapped him up. They see it. That's the only person they need to run and move the needle for. Like, Adam Cole was great, but he ain't better than Keith Lee. And in my opinion, you've seen the best of Adam Cole. He don't need to go ride his woman's coattails, because that's what he would be doing, because she's the best in the family right now. She is.
I don't disagree. My only thing is, Byron, did you see the special about Keith Lee on the WWE Network?
I watched the special.
Yes,
I personally watched the special.
Do you remember when he talked about his conversation with Vince McMahon? When he talked about, he didn't say it openly, but he kind of alluded to why he kind of got pushed back down He pretty much said, "Look, I came in right away, and I got pushed right away, and yet the reality is I wasn't ready." And they showed the footage of Vince McMahon really going into Keith Lee explaining what he needs to do. It's like he was going into detail about it. He was like, "Look, I wasn't being criticized." He said, "I realize there's a lot of work that I have to do."
I think they did drop the ball, and I do agree that I think that Brian told me this when I saw Brian last time. Keith Lee did a lot of this to himself, and I do agree with some of that. I do agree with that to a point. He gained weight, he looks out of shape, he doesn't look interested, and some of the stuff he's saying on social media, I don't like. I do think they messed him up because I think they should have put him with a mouthpiece, potentially somebody that can help him with his promos, maybe an MVP, maybe a Hurt Business, help ease him in the right.
Boy.
That's what I think they should have did. They dropped the ball, but
Keith Lee in the Hurt Business.
That would have been awesome.
Well, that would nice.
I'm just saying, if they write it, I'm available. I got some ideas. Just saying.
No, that right there. I don't think I've ever heard that one before, but that's a good one. Can you imagine
just
Keith Lee in Hurt Business?
You got Lashley against Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre loses. He gets no more championship opportunities. Who helps Lashley get over? Keith Lee busts through the Hell in a Cell, breaks the door like the next big Brock Lesnar, beats the hell out of Drew McIntyre. Lashley's still champion. Do you eventually build to Keith Lee turning on Lashley? Keith Lee's your new big baby face. He's your champion. Everybody's happy. But hey, I'm gonna leave that.
It's old school, but it works though. I'm okay with that.
Hey, keep it simple.
Yeah, what'll work? What'll work?
Brian H.
Brian, we can't hear you, man.
I'm just saying. I want everybody to succeed if they can. Just keep it simple.
Here's the thing. What Byron just talked about, that's just one of the original wrestling blueprints that will never get old. Because freaking AJ Styles is doing it right now. You know what I mean?
All right,
you're watching it with Wardlow and MJF and AEW. Like, of course, you got your heater, you got your guy, and you're watching with Batista and Evolution
and Triple H.
Triple H. You know what I mean? Certain things don't go out of style when it comes to wrestling blueprints, and that's one of them. That's one thing.
The four horsemen. That fourth member always was the heater.
Bro, listen to me. I didn't even think about that, but I was like, yo, imagine how tough it would have been all black with a gold chain on, and he was the heater of the group. He was the muscle.
Just saying.
All you had to do is just say like one quick line, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah, I think it would have worked.
Because he do sound like Dr. Fraser Crane when he does his promo.
Yeah, he kills me with his rhetoric, and he gets to talk these promos, and I'm like, bro, is he teaching a class, or is he trying to talk?
He do sound like a professor.
Class, let us go to page 72, and don't be smart about it.
Our
minds are limitless.
I hate when
I'm gonna beat up Steve.
I hate when he did that.
I think like Dwayne and Brian, y'all mentioned, it's too much predictability, and somebody even came in the chat and said it's too much on the internet. It's too much predictability. We got away from what we love about wrestling.
We do know too much info. I will admit.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the biggest, and like your boy said, Brandon said in the messages, the internet has kind of ruined wrestling to a certain extent. Brandon got, like Brandon said, it's ruined a lot about it because it ruined the mystique of it. It ruined the surprises. We know a lot of things now. We should not be knowing that CM Punk and Daniel Bryan is going to AEW. We should not know that at all. It should just pop up on the screen and be like, and we should be texting each other like, "Oh my God, did you see that?" You know, we don't get that anymore. We don't get that excitement.
You should have known he was coming back. You shouldn't.
Like when Hogan,
Cena gave it up himself on that one, bro.
Hogan went dark and decided to join the NWO back in 1996. That was a complete surprise.
Well, whose side is he on?
Right, whose side is he on? We just in a new generation.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Heenan?
Whose side is he on?
We just in a new generation where everything is just given to us on a platter.
Truth be told, it's hard to tune them out.
Sucks.
A lot of times you want to tune them out, but it's everywhere. You scroll, it's on your timeline. You know,
instant gratification instead of just waiting for things that.
So how does professional wrestling in today's in the way we consume our media and how we watch wrestling, because we watch everything differently.
Mm-hmm.
How does a company like AEW get to the level of success of a WWE in the terms of playing catch up enough to be respected in that same space? Because it's still early. Don't get me wrong. It's two years in, and I think they're climbing up. You know what I mean? And they're, like Rhonda said, they're climbing up fast. I don't think I've ever seen any company get to this point and put on a show as elaborate and as mainstream as AEW has since WCW. You know what I mean? But the way we consume the product is different.
Let me ask you this real quick, because you said something years ago.
Is that your mic? Just got all that gain to it. It's got,
it got some echo.
Like might be his headphones.
How about now?
Nah, every time you talk, it's like static.
Static shock.
Oh,
he in the state of shock. Nah, we still have static.
Oh, okay. How about now?
Yeah, every time you talk, bro.
Maybe it could be the headphones. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's you electrocuted.
Yeah.
I hope not.
I will hope not too.
That's still there.
Yeah, your joint malfunction, buddy, because that joint ain't get no better.
Y'all continue. Give me 2 seconds.
I was about to say, Dwayne.
What needs to happen in today's day and age in regards to professional wrestling to get it to the point where we have two legit mainstream wrestling companies that are respected in a space where you can enjoy wrestling for what it is, but not have it spoiled every day? Like, how do you avoid the social media stuff? Now, and this is what we were talking about before everybody got on the air. If I was a creative person, I would just keep saying I'm releasing everybody. If I was keeping them on TV for a long period of time, I don't know how you legally do that. If that's got to be a problem, or if you can do that or not. But I'm like, what if they saying Bray Wyatt's release was just a gimmick? What if Daniel Bryan being released was just a gimmick, and he shows up like 2 months down the line somewhere else? You know what I mean? And say one of the possibilities at the Royal Rumble, because everybody assumed that he got released and he was going to AEW, and of course AEW's not gonna say nothing about it, whether it's true or not, because they want to capitalize on whatever popularity they can with any type of buzz. Like, what if this is all just a ploy for a lot of these guys? And it was like, look, they got released because they really wanted to restructure their contracts, and they had to figure it out, and they had to find creative ways to do that to keep fans guessing. And they were just putting that stuff out there just to keep everybody having these conversations that we're having right now. That's what I would do creatively.
Yeah, well, which company though?
Any company, because AEW hasn't really released anybody of significance. They've released a few people that one, that lower level talent did. If anybody that's gotten in trouble or anything like that, any type of case and stuff like that. But the Bray Wyatt thing is baffling to me. And somebody said something earlier, like, this release seems different than any other release. I think this has a gimmick thing to do with it. And I'm saying to myself, well, it's possible because one, nobody's commented on anything outside of saying that Bray Wyatt has been released. Bray Wyatt has done specific things like, put up certain stuff on his Instagram and stuff like that, and follow Tony Khan, and Tony Khan followed him back, stuff like that. It's like, what if I'm telling Vince, is like, look, here's what we're going to do. If I can see Bruce Pritchard saying, look, here's what we do. We'll release you because we got to get you out of this contract. We'll pay you downside guarantee, and then we'll restructure your contract coming back so you'll make the same amount of money. But in the meantime, don't do anything. Don't let the fans speculate themselves. You've been released, so they're going to assume you're going to AEW. So then the wrestling buzz of the business is going to be up, because this is the only way to get people, because we know they don't play around about releases. But what if
that's for the E though? That's for the E. You're asking how can AEW catch up? Well, not catch up, but how can they progress?
Well, here's what I'm saying. Nobody's when they're asked about CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, all this other stuff, they all say the same thing. I can't comment on that. I don't know anything about it. Like, I can't say anything about it in regards to that. Now, maybe because they're planning stuff already, like, they could be there, but like, there's a chance that this could just all be hearsay. They just capitalize on it because they know all the buzz is there.
I think AEW. I think for them to be in a better position than what they are right now, I think Tony Khan needs to shut the hell up. I think that's one. Boom. He needs to be quiet. He needs to shut up. That's one. Two, listen to your fans a little bit more. I mean, you're listening to them, which is a good thing, and I think you need to listen to them a little bit more. That fans are going to tell you who you need to push or who you don't need to push. They'll let you know who's hot and who's not. That's the second thing. Three, I do like their pay-per-views. Their pay-per-views are really, really good. So I can't really complain about that. Maybe not some of the endings. Some of the endings were goofy.
Got a lot of TNA going on.
Wrestling is never the problem.
The wrestling is never the problem. So that part is great. The entrances, like you said, Dwayne, they need to be a little bit more elaborate with different superstars,
or memorable, or specific, or something.
I mean, Mr. Black should have had a better entrance than what he had on Wednesday. I do agree with that. But to me, they're progressing. But it's a little bit just the little things, man. The little things you got to work on. Yeah. But the biggest thing is Tony's mouth, yo. That to me, that's the biggest thing.
He's annoying.
His mouth. he just he cannot shut up. And I hate that he does that. I mean, because he's setting his own company back when he does stuff like that. It's like, bro, just do what you're doing. Be the businessman that you are right now. Sign the people you need to sign. Keep it on a hush, and just surprise people. And then let your ring work. Your in ring work do your talking for you.
But
I mean, that's all you need to do.
I thought he wasn't allowed to surprise people according to the TV deal.
You know who Tony Khan is, man. He's the rich son of somebody who got money, who got into wrestling, who for the first time in his life people actually like him. Seriously,
he gives that vibe though.
You're right. Can't lie about it.
But see, when I look at people like a Eddie Kingston or somebody like that, I look at him like, yeah, he probably be bullying Tony Khan. Like, yo, we're gonna get this money mark for all he's worth.
Yo, like the boys are working him. I think they are.
He feels wanted, so he's like, oh, everybody thinks I'm a nice guy. Busted Open wants me to come on every week to talk about my product. Oh, they want to do a media scrum after my event. WWE doesn't do that, so he's like, okay, I'm able to talk. I'm able to be the nice owner. Vince is the evil devil guy, the mean. Yeah. I'm the nice one. You see me out. I'm smiling. I'm giving to the Jacksonville Children's Hospital. I'm taking pictures with Brody Jr. I'm doing the little things that people care about. I'm smiling and profiling. He's that type of guy. I have nothing against him because I wish I was rich like that, but that's what he gives off. And a lot of people in those positions give that off. And unfortunately, we can see through it.
Answer the question, Byron. Is that going to hurt AEW? You want to spot it?
It's not going to help them because at the end of the day, I think that they are going to have to conform a little bit because they can't have death matches every in the show, coffin matches.
That's a problem.
They're gonna have to draw a line between the wrestlers and him. They're gonna draw a line somewhere.
What do you mean by conform? Because Byron, you're the hot streak right now.
Because as dumb as Monday Night Raw is, NBC Universal still spend $1 billion on it. So clearly they like seeing people chase a 24/7 championship. They like seeing certain people get pushed every week. And I'm not trying to be funny, I'm just being honest. They like
No, you're right.
He's right, yeah.
They want to see these talk segments for 30 minutes to start and end the show and 10 minutes in between, with the same 3 people, Drew McIntyre telling a bedtime story to Brian's kids. That's what they want. They want that type of stuff because they can, like you said, like Brian can sit down with his daughter, sit down with his son. He could watch this. He could buy the merchandise. He could buy the toys. He could buy the games. Now, like they're trying to do the Rolling Loud collabs. They're saying, okay, we're going to get out into the mainstream and try to get the young demographic on social media. So they like that type of stuff. It doesn't mean, like we said, we know the wrestling is good everywhere. It's the booking that's probably terrible. But when you get into those types of avenues, you have to conform a little bit. You can't have a death match. You can't be flipping the middle finger. Remember, Stone Cold went from this to this. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that was like I said. Byron he was on a hot streak. He was just rolling. I was like, he's on fire. It's like eBay Jam. He's on fire right now.
And like you said, the ratings, obviously, the Monday ratings, people are gonna watch WWE whether it's good, bad, horrendous, because it's just they're going to watch it because one,
and it's been on 30 years.
It's no Monday Night Football right now.
Yeah.
No other show on Monday is moving the needle that you're like, oh, I have to watch this. So until at least September 12th, when the Ravens are playing on Monday night, nobody cares about what else is happening on Monday.
It's an appointment.
Nobody cares. If anything, they'll keep their TV on. They'll get their Nielsen ratings from Raj. They'll get their money from their sponsors. Doing 50,000 other things, but hey, they got their watch, and that's all they care.
It's programmed into the DVR at this point, so
yeah. So you good. They get everything from the Waters household every week. They good.
They run their organization like a football franchise that's losing. They like, bro, we don't care if we're losing because we filling up the stadium with fans every week. So like,
and that's the model works because they have these companies, NBC Universal, wrapped around their finger that they can do no wrong. That we'll put out a crappy product for the past 5 years since 2015
because it's a better rating than anything else they got on the network.
You still gonna spend $1 billion for us to send our critically acclaimed award-winning streaming service, which was the best out, to the worst out.
That's a whole nother conversation.
WWE Network was the best streaming service there was. They went from the best to Peacock, which is the worst. Delays, you can't rewind, just goofy stuff that you would think NBCU would not have at this point in my life since 2000.
Have you heard that about the Olympics? The Olympics been pretty smooth, hasn't it?
Well, we know why. Look, we know why.
Even people complain about how that's been displayed, though.
I'll say this real quick.
Because it's on multiple channels.
Raw than the Olympics. I'd rather watch Raw than the Olympics, damn it.
Wow, that's bad.
This is bad. It's bad.
Oh, that is bad. That's really bad.
That's really bad, actually. That's
Well,
bad.
all right, let's wrap because I got 4 minutes till my birthday, and I love y'all, but I ain't trying to be.
Brother.
He trying to get that cake.
No.
You hit the milestone. You hit the milestone.
Woo!
4 minutes.
He is the main eventer for a reason. He does move the needle. Remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian. Before we do wrap though, we need to meet with you, man. Me and Dre, we need to meet with you. So we got to plan a date for that before you get your new job, of course.
But
Shut up. We'll talk about that off air.
But yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Yes. Very quickly. AEW points from everybody's been pointed. I'm gonna say one more thing. Can't be goofy. Too much goofiness in the main event spot. You cannot be this goofy. It's a place for. That's why Orange Cassidy's cool. It's a place for him. But I don't need the main event to come out. I know they're doing the whole Space Jam stuff and all that, but that just looks goofy.
I don't want to talk about that. Let's leave that alone.
If WWE did that, they would got crucified.
That's them conforming, Dwayne. They're conforming a little bit already.
They were going mainstream
them
with that.
EVPs. And like Brian said, them announcing themselves as EVPs wasn't the smartest thing because everything they do is Microsoft.
That was not. That was not.
Saying
That's why they tried to nail it down.
It's called
broadcast.
And I'll say this real quick. The turning point of this company will be the Arthur Ashe show in New York if they're able to have it. Because in a mainstream venue in New York City, the biggest market, they haven't had a New York show. Daniel Bryan or whomever may debut. You'll probably already have some names there. I think that'll be the biggest show in that company's history to date. Just remember,
I agree.
Yeah, just ask the Locks and Dipset.
All right, fellas, let them know where they can find y'all.
Go ahead, Byron. You do your thing.
At the Flex Zone 1 on all streaming platforms. And yeah, just follow us at the Flex Zone 1. And follow the Wrestling Wrealm first and foremost. For you get a super kick to the head and leg slapping is allowed.
Let's go. Let's throw that leg slapping. I'm tired of it.
Leave the leg slapping alone, man. It makes the Claymore and the Adam Cole super kick look good. I don't care what they say.
Well, all right,
Everything
folks. We're gonna let Dwayne send us home tonight.
Brothers, I appreciate y'all coming on. As y'all can see, this is how we get down. This is the brother talk, man. Byron, D, Raj, we appreciate y'all for joining us tonight at this impromptu show, man. We just had to. It was too much for the text message, man. We had to get this off all our chest, man. And
we let the world be a part of it,
right? Like let them in the conversation, man. We appreciate y'all coming on, man. Having a blast. This is how we like. It can get intense with us, but people probably like this is how we get down. This is pure testosterone, brother wrestling talk.
Damn so every day.
We had a good brother summer. We appreciate you guys coming on. We definitely got to do this again, man. Like I said, catch them on the Flex Zone.
Mondays at 10.
They have been a key part in everything that we have done from the very beginning. If it wasn't for the Flex Zone, the restaurant wouldn't be here today. I stress that, man. So I always applaud you guys, and we love y'all to death for always keeping us alive when we were kind of straddling upstream without a paddle. So thank y'all. We appreciate y'all coming on. Brian H. sitting up home.
All right, folks. Make sure y'all follow us on all social media platforms at Wrestling Wrealm. Most importantly, if you want to support the brand, you go right ahead to buymeacoffee.com/Wrestling Wrealm. You can support us just as low as $5. And make sure, if you haven't done so, check us out on Twitch. The Real Dwayne Allen slid over No Mercy to me, so I've been rocking and rolling with that. Also got WWE 12 in the day, so I'm gonna go back in time and play a little bit of that as well. I'm gonna play some old school games, and then if WWE 2K22 looks the same, I'll play that as well. Until the next time, I'm 35 and I'm out. I'll catch y'all next week. Oh, last but not least, as we leave, make sure you check out at 12:35. I'm putting it right around the time I was born. 12:35 today. I'm dropping my top 5 belts. So make sure y'all check out that episode. Top 5 belts in the collection. So until next time, too sweet.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes!